128. So this is Turkey during World War II. This piece really takes its time in the beginning.
It was devastatingly beautiful. In terms of the way it was shot, in terms of the political climate at that time in Turkey, it felt like a time capsule. And of course, you know, seeing the death of a child on camera is you know, even though it's acting, it's awful. It just, like, I was eating popcorn and I had just put popcorn in my mouth and the kid was lying on the floor and I
Popcorn in your mouth.
I couldn't move, I couldn't chew, I couldn't swallow. I could only think about how, you know, stuff like that happens. Stuff like that continues to happen in any number of countries around the world currently. So even though it's a slice of the past told in a fictional context, it is very relevant and very important that people take it in. And there was just enough, I don't want to say ambiguity, that's not the right word, but there was just enough timelessness to it, even though it was set in a very particular, specific time in Turkey's history. But there was just enough timelessness to it that that there were moments where you weren't really sure, you know, like, where are we? It kind of really clicks in when you see all the kids reciting outside of their class, their school, and you see their uniforms and you see the bust. But prior to that, you know, it could have been any time, really, you know, seeing the motorized tractor, but seeing the kid walking to school is a really sharp contrast visually. It's arresting and it just draws you in immediately, so you don't really know what time you're in or where you are or what's going to happen. And it certainly went in a direction that I don't think any of us expected.
It's very much in the past, but also very much in the present.
I thought the film was very interesting. It really shows you what other countries have to go through and how lucky we are to be in the country that we are in, where we don't have to face war. And I thought it was interesting that this movie was right after the anxiety movie, because it shows the different problems between first world countries and third world countries and how very different our challenges and problems are with each other. In the Turkey one, they have to deal with being shot, while at school, us, we have to deal with, you know, problems and stuff like that, where we start getting hyperventilating, anxiety and all that, right?
So I just like the way it was directed. I mean, it opened you up to, like, what you thought was going to be a really interesting film about some children and, you know, just reciting the words and so on, and you thought, okay, this is going to be kind of fun. And to direct something like that and get you so involved so quickly and then end it. And I think that's the whole point, that life just ends for some people, and the way it just starts, it just ended, and you're just a number for some people. But we know we're already attached to this classroom of children.
We put a face on that tragedy very clearly. And there's an excellent point. We had another film in this half that opened on a schoolroom and was equally quiet and subtle and drew us in. The ending's completely different.
I really felt that the third world portrayal was accurate, because I grew up in the third world country, and, like, there was so many little details for me that felt like, oh, this is what it was like when I was a little kid. And it was like, you know, like sharpening your pencil under the table, and like, you know, just a little bit of a rundown demeanor of the school, and I don't know, like, just the kids being a little bit more, like, not as naughty, just, you know, like, you're just waiting for the teacher to start and there's an attendance roll call and everyone's quiet. Like, it was very, like, weirdly nostalgic. And then when the child got shot, the first person I thought of, Malala Khan, and, like, how she was shot for going to school. And it was very jarring, because it was like, yeah, kids get shot in school in very mundane and small settings. It's just terrifying.
It's a piece that is, it takes time to draw you in, and it ends in tragedy. And like our first comment, I pre-screened this film eating popcorn, and I couldn't finish chewing my popcorn because I was shocked at the sound, and then that final image is so striking.
That movie that we just watched is real. It's happening. It's still happening. I'm from Turkey, and then watching that made me really get into my feelings, because that's what we used to see when we open our televisions at the middle of the night to see what's happening around our country. I'm lucky enough to be from a big city that you might know, Istanbul, and then nothing bad was happening there, but then we know that just because the external relations that the countries has between each other affects innocent people, just like a 7-year-old child getting shot in his classroom while taking the attendance. That's ridiculous, but that's real, that's happening, that still goes on, and it's just, I think that the movie was showing how wrong it is for innocent people to be shot just because of the relations the other countries have, and that's not fair.
Yeah, what a way to terrorize a nation, to go after their children trying to be educated.